2 clawed feet, a snake tail, clad in leather, adorned with whips and chains, and easily recognizable by his missing eye and hooked hand. If anyone should ever ask you who the scariest Skeksis ever was, most would come to obvious conclusions for obvious reasons. Skekso the Emperor, Skekzok the Ritual Master, or the most popular choice, Skekmal the Hunter. But perhaps the fear of a character does not come from a loud display of evil, but a quiet evil, much like the slave master, skekNa. All of the Skeksis held mostly self-descriptive titles, and skekNa was no different. Being honored with the title of slave master meant that this beast was responsible for overseeing and keeping charge of all of the podling slaves, which came to its peak by the end of the Gartham Wars. These slaves were used as servants, cooks, cleaners, and eventually even drained of their own essence to provide temporary healing solutions. They were also utilized for a far more meaningful purpose as members of the official podling choir, which was also, interestingly, overseen by the slave master, who along with skekEkt, claimed to have an ear for music. But by far the most frightening trait about the slave master was his inability to hide his dark nature. Unlike the scroll keeper or even the ritual master, who could appear civilized and humble at times, skekNa was unfiltered evil, refusing to hide his true demeanor. And this is an attribute that actually began far back in history, after Skekso was recently proclaimed emperor. Like Skekshad, he was not supportive of Skekso claiming the throne, and remained outwardly bitter about it. That is, until Skekshad was severely beaten for his lack of faith. And after that, the slave master remained mostly silent, and pushed his evil nature inward. Along with skekTek, skekNa was part of a political alliance that supported skekUng, the Gartham Master. Following the death of the Emperor, this alliance became more powerful when the Gartham Master challenged the Chamberlain for the throne, and won by way of trial by stone. For his loyalty, the Slave Master was actually considered for a brand new role among the ranks of the Skeksis called the Patriarch, which was a title that surpassed both the Ritual Master and the Chamberlain. Who knows what could have been if he'd attained that royal title. Aside from his brutish, cruel nature, skekNa was also one of the most distinctive Skeksis in terms of style. Much like the flamboyant skekEkt, the slave master wore his entire life on his figure. As the hunter displayed his prizes and personality to mirror his vicious, bloodthirsty nature, skekNa was similar, covering himself in layers of leather armor, with belts, chains, clasps, whips, and various weapons for torturing, complete with an eye patch and a giant claw on one hand, which some actually believed to be an over-exaggeration for a simple injured finger. At this point it's unclear exactly how the scars came to be, but after witnessing the Peeper Beetle, we can only imagine. The slave master's counterpart was an Uru known as Urnol, who not only shared his scars, but was also the group's herbalist. Among all the counterpart relations, Urnol and skekNa are perhaps the most interesting, because an herb tender and a slave master have absolutely nothing to do with each other. They could not be more opposite. But perhaps that is the point. While skekNa busied himself with enslaving what he deemed to be the weaker minds of Thra, Urnol spent his time growing, blooming, and assisting the flow of life for medicinal purposes that could heal. Yet again, another perfect balance of light and dark. Though he may have been quiet and solitary, what truly makes the slave master so terrifying is that unlike all of the others, as far as we know, he lacked any personality. His physical and mental presence was distinguished only by his pure evil intentions, his malice and black heart. Darkness was so ingrained into him that it literally became him and consumed him. His very thoughts were of pain and horror, and his only reason for drawing breath was to take it from others. He may have been a master of slaves, but the real slave, in so many ways, was himself. Well, my friends, that's going to do it for my biography on the fascinatingly dark Slave Master. Now it's time for you guys to leave all of your thoughts and opinions down below in the Great White Void. Why do you guys think the Slave Master is the scariest Skeksis of them all? As always, until next we meet, take care, and I'll see you guys back here for the next video very soon.